sad to report today that Russel Means has died at the age of 72. Described by the LA Times as the most famous American Indian since Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, Russel Means died after a long struggle with cancer. He led the 71-day takeover of Wounded Knee, the site of a massive civilian massacre by U.S. government. 6 times the number of civilians, men, women, and children, were killed there as at Waco 20 years ago. He was also a lifelong activist for liberty and a screen actor who later in life most notably starred in films like Last the Mohican and Natural Born Killers. In 1988, he nearly became the Libertarian Party nominee for president, narrowly being beaten by Ron Paul. And he said in that campaign, "If I want my people to be free, Americans have to be free." But unfortunately, he later said, and this is also very true, Indian policy has now been brought down upon American people, and the American people are the new Indians of the 21st century. Following the news, we'll replay Alex Jones's last interview with Russel Means, as well as a special report we did entitled Welcome to the Reservation. Now, in that report, one of the things Russel Means said was that the American government's campaign against the Indians, one of the things that they did that was very effective was that they destroyed their food supply and their rite of passage. Does that sound familiar? Isn't that what we see happening to Americans today?
You know, the American people, for too long, have been an irresponsible, free people. And even generation to generation, as they've become less free, they don't recognize it. They have lost the ability of critical thought. In order to regain critical thought, all you have to do is read your Constitution and then look at the laws that govern you, especially from the federal perspective. It's unconscionable to allow your freedoms to be taken away decade after decade after decade, year after year. And I'm very proud of this, by the way. My nation, the Lakota, were the first nation to militarily defeat the United States of America on the field of battle. And that resulted in the 1868 Sioux Treaty. Be that as it may, what has happened after they economically forced us into these prisoner of war camps by destroying our food supply and our rite of passage in our own land, they confined us to these, and then they began practicing and perfecting their colonial tactics. What has happened is now America, because of the irresponsibility of your forebears and the irresponsibility of yourselves, you are now on a one huge Indian reservation. All policies were bred and born and birthed on an Indian reservation, and then exported to the world, and now comes back on the backs of the American people. You have a near-perfect document. In the words of Benjamin Franklin in 1744, to a collection of colonists discussing freedom, he said to them, and I quote, "If a nation to the north can form a near-perfect union that has endured for centuries, why cannot we form a more perfect union?" Unquote. So they're talking about the Iroquois Confederacy, and that's where the Constitution comes from. Because in 1988, on the eve of the 200-year anniversary of the Constitution, it was a unanimous thank you by the Congress of the United States. They sent in writing to the Six Nations Iroquois Confederacy, thanking them for their input into the Constitution and the formation of the United States of America. So you see, the Constitution is Indian law, and that's why I love it.